All right, Tony, so before we get into the actual, this section is all about the grip, and before we get into the actual mechanics of how it is, on our drive-in, which is included in this thing, you guys can check it out, you were talking about how different grips can affect the different sequences that people use in their body.
Oh, exactly. Let's even start a little step, take a step back from
Yeah.
that before we get the grip. Let's take a look at how this club is actually designed to work.
Okay.
And I think this, without getting into the engineering of lie angles and lofts and shaft components, let's break it down into, it's as simple as this hammer.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so if I'm taking a hammer, if we just say, okay, just pick up a hammer and I'm gonna go ahead and nail it in. Without thinking about it, I'm gonna grab it in my right hand. I'm right-handed. But a lot of times in golf instruction, everyone talks about the non-dominant arm being in control, but really this is what we're using to throw a ball, to hammer with. Now the important thing about hammering and how it relates to golf is, when I'm hammering, I'm not rotating the shaft of this hammer, because I would never be able to be consistent.
Right.
So that's kind of the same thing we want to have with the golf club, because if I'm spinning the shaft a lot, if that face angle is changing, face is flat, that ball is going to go in a lot of different directions. So relating to this hammering motion, now this is the motion that we want the golf club to make in order to hit that ball dead straight that we were talking about. So if we kind of come in at this angle, come in at that angle, we bend the nail. So if we bend the nail, we're bending ball flight, and that gives us all our hooks and slices.
Okay.
So this idea of hammering straight produces a straight shot, and it's as complicated or complex as hammer and nail.
So when you're talking about a grip, we want to have a grip of the club that's going to support this hammering feel.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you wouldn't hold it, and because we're going to be hammering kind of sideways, horizontally, we would not put our hand on top, because there's not a lot of
just wouldn't do it, yeah.
Wouldn't really put it underneath. So this right hand really has to get to the side of the grip, and so that way we can put our maximum force into it.
And when you're doing this, Tony, face this way just a little bit. When you're doing this, Tony, I noticed as you're hammering that, the force is going directly into the strongest part of your hand. Like if I was to push you as hard as I could, it'd be right there.
Yeah, exactly. So when we want this meat or this claw part of the hand to really support that motion right there and support that resistance from impact from the ball.
So let's put your hands on the club, and so, because people will say, okay, does the reactionary golf swing like a strong grip? Does the reactionary golf swing like a neutral grip?
Well, that's very complex, because we don't know what people's habits are and what their tendencies are. So what we're going to do is kind of go over some basics, and then look at some kind of commonalities where if you've been playing golf for like 20 years and have always played with a weak grip or a strong grip, how can you still make this work for you? Okay. So yeah, I would love a neutral grip. So let's kind of take a look at what a neutral grip is. So this right hand's just going to go right to the side. You're going to look at this knuckle of this pointer finger, really supporting that.
Tony, let's act as if we're shooting a ball that way, just so we can see your hands.
So from here, we're just going to head and get this right hand set right to that side. We want that palm basically going towards our target.
So like
exactly
that
we're
kind of.
Go ahead and get it, right up into that pointer finger. So we don't want it down too much into the fingers. We don't want it dead in the palm. It's just a little bit of both.
Like that.
Exactly. That looks great.
And as far as when you read every classic instruction book, they talk about the V's. So in the right hand, do we want it at our right ear, or?
Well, what does it look like to you? And that's the thing, because we got little anthropometrics, our joints and our bodies and our eyes are all shaped a little bit differently. So what does it look like for you?
I got you.
This V kind of looks like it's more or less working up towards the right side of my face. That's for me. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, for me, it's in the middle of my shoulder.
So ours are a little bit different. And the thing about it, what we want to have with a grip is a grip that is adjustable.
Okay.
We can actually then create a lot of different ball flights.
Okay. So don't build your grip off of the V's, because that could be anybody, but build it off of where you're going to support this.
Support this club. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's we want to take advantage of how our body is designed like that way. So to me, the easiest way to find out where should my left hand be.
Okay.
Because again, is actually kind of a different way of doing this, and we're going to shoot it this way, so this way golfers can see this.
Yeah.
So if I just set up, take it, I'm not even worried about my posture right now, and I'm just going to let this swing back and let this set. So this is actually kind of our square club face to this path. So this is not a closed club face, it's square to its path.
Yeah. And we'll get in more on the takeaway section, but they all blend together, so you guys will see a lot of different.
So now when I put my left hand on there, it actually is kind of relatively straight. It's very comfortable. It's more neutral. So then when I bring it back, there's my grip. I don't have to worry about it. So now if I take it back and in that same position, and if I put my hand on there a little bit stronger, which is more turned to the right for right-handed golfers, then I would see here. So that would actually be, for me, this is too strong of a grip. We're going to work off a neutral so we can create a lot of different shots.
Okay, gotcha.
And the grip somewhat determines a lot of what we can and can't do. Now, obviously Hogan always talked about bowing the left wrist. Well, that only works if you have a very weak grip. So if I take, again, the same position and now take a weak grip, you can actually see my wrist is bowed a little bit from this position. So based on where it should be, I like it nice and flat for my standard kind of stock neutral grip position.
Yeah, because if you do that and you put it on weak, if I do nothing, just leave my hands alone, I'm going to be open.
Well, if we're using the right hand,
if I don't bow it,
if you don't,
if I do not bow that, then I'm going to block it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So Hogan was extremely anti-hook, right? Because that almost destroyed his career. So he was doing everything he could by being weak to.
Yeah. So, but he still used his right hand. So the bowing the left wrist only happens because he's using his right hand with a weak grip.
It wasn't an active, like he actively felt this.
No.
Okay, gotcha.
He may have felt it, but he wasn't trying to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was more of a, we could say, an effect of it. So now if we take Dustin Johnson, who has a strong grip, or Paul Azinger or Zach Johnson, they tried to bow their left wrist, they would have like 1 degree of loft on their club.
It would never get off the ground.
So neutral grip is where we want to go, and the best place to find that is just this being relatively flat right here, and then you set up to it. And again, that's where I'd probably say, again, I see the V's. If we're going to the V's, I think it's reference that people can use, is it's going for me the right side of my face. It may be a little bit stronger or weaker based on what your tendencies are too.
All right, so just to recap this grip section, so we're putting it on like this, Tony, so that it, like if this is going to push.
Yep, I like that.
There, we're going to put it on there like that. Set it up, take it here.
Perfect.
Add this.
Nice and just relaxed and straight right there.
So basically flat, and that's my grip.
And so where do you see your V's, Brendan?
Yeah, they're kind of in my armpit here.
Okay. So we can see that everyone could have, based on just their shape and their tendencies of life, you can see a little bit different position. And that's where you have to find yours, what works best for you.
All right.